This is Jonathan Aggoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. I'm down here at BT Studio today with the voice of BT Sport, of course, Mr. John Rawling. John, first of all, how are you doing?
Very good, very good. Long journey down. There's a lot of traffic on the road, I tell you.
From up north?
Up near Lincoln.
Okay.
So that's my home.
Well, you've obviously come down for the big one on Saturday night, Daniel Dubois taking on Kyoto Fujimoto. Now, what do you know about Fujimoto? Obviously, he's got a high ranking in the WBA, I believe. What else do you know about him? Well,
not a huge amount, to be quite honest. I've never seen him fight live. It's only what I've been able to catch up on via the internet. He's never fought outside Japan before. He only stands just over 6 foot. So Daniel is going to have huge height, reach and weight advantage, one would assume. Japan doesn't have a great record of producing big fighters. He's the only Japanese heavyweight out there at the moment, but he's making good noises about it, and as you say, he's WBA ranked number 13, and he's been over in America sparring big fellas, getting used to the sort of challenge that he's going to have from Daniel, and as he says, if he wins this, if he comes here, it's a life-changing moment for him.
Is it potentially a harder fight than people are giving credit to it, mainly because of the names that are being mentioned past Fujimoto, potentially a banana skin?
Well, you'd hope not. I mean, Daniel's talking about wanting 2020 to be his time to move through and fight for a world title, and he's already highly rated by all the governing bodies apart from the WBA, and if he beats Fujimoto, of course he'll get a high WBA ranking as well, ranked number 6 at the moment by the WBO, and people are really standing and taking notice of Daniel, and I think 2020 could be a very exciting year for him, but he needs to look good on Saturday night. He needs to come through with another spectacular win. He's on a run of 4 victories this year, all inside the distance, and he predicts another spectacular knockout. And there's always a huge buzz, isn't there, about big punching heavyweights, and Daniel's very much one of them. I'm excited by the progress that he's shown. When you think he only had 7 amateur fights to get where he is now after, 13-0? Is it 13? Yeah. I mean, to get there so quickly, to the level he's at, I think is very impressive, and a great testament as well to his trainer Martin Bowers.
I mean, you've watched many heavyweights over the years. A lot of people comparing Daniel to the likes of perhaps a Mike Tyson, anyone like that. Who would you compare him to of the past?
Well, he's a totally different style, isn't he, to Mike Tyson for a start. Mike Tyson wasn't much taller than me, and Daniel is 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". He's a giant of a man. I think if you talked to Daniel himself, the people he would look at and say, that's how I'd like to be able to fight, would perhaps be Lennox Lewis, Larry Holmes, because as they talk, and I know that Martin preaches to him the importance of the jab, and if you watch him, everything comes off the jab. He's a very high quality left hand, and who knows how good he's going to be as the years unfold. But I'm Frank Warren's very excited about him. He thinks that he's got potentially the best heavyweight in the world. Time will tell whether or not that's the case, but he's done everything right so far. And I think the win this year, where people really had to sit up and take note, was that win against Nathan Gorman. Remember, Boxing News, who know a bit about boxing, they were predicting that Gorman was going to win that fight, and Daniel went out there, stopped him, and to my way of looking at it, he also outboxed him, which was not, I don't think, how too many people thought it was going to go.
How do you see 2020 going for Daniel? There's been talk of a world title shot. For you, I mean, if you look at Joyce's career, he sort of fought fringe-level world title challengers, former world title challengers, shall I say. Is that the sort of level you'd be looking at if you were sort of matchmaking him?
Well, Joyce is an obvious fight. He's fighting Marcel Huck he's fighting in January. If he comes through that and looks good, then I think a Joyce fight is an inevitable one. And then if Daniel gets through that, and remember, Joe will fancy his chances of that, it's a fascinating fight. But if Daniel gets through that, then he will very definitely start looking at world titles.
Joyce, you mentioned him, he's going to be fighting in January against Marco Huck for the European title. How winnable is this fight, do you believe, for Joe?
Well, very much so. Huck's best days, I think are behind him. He's had a long career. He's had a lot of very hard fights, and I think that it's going to be good for. I think it's going to be good for Joe. I think Joe will come through that, and I think he'll win, despite the fact that he's on Marco Huck's territory, and he will come through, I think, and then it's a natural matchup with Daniel Dubois after that.
I want to talk about the rest of the card. The return of Tommy Fury, first fight since March and since Love Island. What sort of fight are you expecting from Tommy on Saturday night? And how excited are you with this new sort of found popularity?
Well, it's obviously done him no harm at all, has it? He's got a huge following on Instagram and on Twitter. He's got now a crossover appeal. People know Tommy Fury, and now they want to see if he can fight. He says he's grown up in a fighting family, quite obviously, and he says that he's got the fame that Love Island's brought him, and a fair few quid as well, and he's got a partner now. He's still with the lass he met on the programme, so fair play to him. But he says that the important thing is his boxing. He wants to show people that he is for real, and he'll be wanting to, I'm sure, make a statement.
Also on the card, Liam Williams facing Atlanta's Fox, who also fought Demetrius Andrade. Now, I understand this is an eliminator for Demetrius Andrade's title. Is that a fight that you see happening in 2020? Should Liam get through this?
Well, yes, I think it certainly can happen. It's going to be an interesting one to make, because Andrade is obviously signed up with the matchroom side of the equation. So. But if Liam comes through and looks good, then he's in the mandatory position. So I think the fight will have to happen. But it's a tricky one for him, because the guy he's facing, 6'4", he's a big man. He's an awkward man.
I mean, just quickly run me through the rest of the card. It is a long undercard. You've got the likes of Denzel Bentley returning, James Branch, debut for David Adelaide. It's a pretty interesting card with a lot of young talent. Well,
you've mentioned some of the undercard fighters there. I'm looking forward to seeing the new young heavyweights. But also, let's not forget Sonny Edwards, who's fighting for the vacant British super flyweight title. And he is a real talent up against Braithwaite in that one. And the Scouser will come down here looking for a big chance himself. And I think that'll turn out to be a very good fight. Sonny is a super technician, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in action again.